This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. John Campbell says I could send you some special herb to blaze and forget about the lip, Big O. I don't know. You guys sabotage me because tearing out skin off my lip. That's just not good, bro. That's just not good. So I don't know, but that hurt last night or this morning. That's all I gotta say. So how you doing, Cam? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. How are you? I just got a fresh cut. About to head to Dolphins OTAs in a bit. Check the boys out for the first time this spring, and yeah, it's pretty good May day.
What are they? You get to see stretching and a little bit of individual. That's it.
Nah, man. We get to see it all. We actually get to see
really?
it all. I mean, yeah, we get to see the full practice. Now, that being said, I do think that they know we're out there, so they'll probably give us some vanilla version of whatever they've been doing. But we get to see all of practice. It's supposed to be about an hour 15 minutes out there. So we get to see them throw the ball.
What time?
So 11:40, McDaniel is talking, and then after he talks, it's practice. So sometime probably afternoon. So probably like 12:15, practice will get started, and then they'll probably finish up about 1:15, 1:30.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll get Omar right in the middle of the practice. He'll be talking to us while practice will be going on, I guess. There.
Yeah.
All right. How injury wise or anything? Nothing to report, right?
I haven't heard anything. We'll see. You know, we'll see. I think you're probably not going to see Raheem Mostert out here. He's still recovering from the knee injury. So guys who have pre-existing injuries, you're not going to see much of them. But I haven't heard any new injuries, so they should be good for the most part out there.
What'd you think of the linebacker signing?
I thought it was a good signing. I mean, Melvin Ingram's a guy who's been super productive in this league. I think they needed some depth at the outside linebacker position. At this stage of his career, he's probably not going to be a guy who can take on a full load. So having him in as a rotational guy, maybe playing some third downs, getting maybe 30-40% of the snaps, I think is a really good role for him. $5 million is what he ended up getting. That's not a bad fee for a guy who's had a good pass rush production. So I think now you got a pretty deep, outside linebacker edge position when you look at Emmanuel Ogbah and Jaelan Phillips probably starting, and then you got Andrew Van Ginkel and Melvin Ingram rotating in, and so you'll see some different formations where you could have maybe 3 or 4 of those guys on the field at the same time. But I think more than anything, it helps them all be fresh, and so I like the move. I think it gets another vet guy in the building, a guy who's won. So I'm a fan of that type of move. And it doesn't financially hamper them more than 1 year. So 1 year deal. So the dude's 33. He's on the last couple of years of his career, but even though his sack numbers weren't there last year, he did get some good pressure. So I like the move for them, bringing him in as a third, fourth pass rusher.
What do you expect from Jaelan Phillips this year? I know he talked a little bit about slimming down even more and being more of a complete outside linebacker type. Is the coverage thing something that he's working on? Is it something that what's he trying to complete, in other words?
Yeah. I think he wants to be better as a run defender, especially on early downs. So you saw him last year playing a lot of third downs because he could rush the passer. If there's one thing that Jaelan Phillips can do, he can rush the passer. And last year he played about 50% of the snaps. And so you didn't realize that because he had 8.5 sacks, and so he's got the numbers that said, hey, he had a pretty decent rookie year, but he was only playing mostly pass down. So I think he wants to earn the trust that I can be down there on first and second down. I can stop the run. I can set the edge. That's a very important responsibility for edge rusher. And they can trust me on all 3 downs like they do Emmanuel Ogbah. Emmanuel Ogbah's on the field on all 3 downs because they trust him to play the run, play the pass, set the edge, and do those sort of things. So maybe you see him dropping coverage some, but I think for him mostly it's stopping the run that's going to be able to make him a more complete player. And I'm excited to see him this year. I didn't get to talk a lot about him this offseason, but I think him and Javon Holland, those are 2 guys who we talk a lot about Waddle, But if those two guys take a big step forward, that can help this defense, which essentially ran it back outside of Melvin Ingram, take that next step, And so I'm eager to see him if he can be that complete player. He had 8.5 sacks last year. There's no reason why he can't be a double-digit sack guy. And so he can be a double-digit sack guy. Now, can he be a complete guy? Because a lot of times last year they didn't run towards Agba. They ran towards Jaelan Phillips when he was on the field. So I think that's something that he will have to get better at.
I remember Jason Taylor had that issue for a couple of years too, because he was skinny coming out of Akron.
Yeah.
And so Jay was always great at you could always see the pass rush in him, and obviously that was developing, and he had some injuries his first couple of years. He got nicked up a couple of times because they knew they had to, in order to tame his pass rush, they had to run at him. And then eventually, tall and skinny like that, he got strong and he was able to push guys aside and ragdoll them a little bit, which were at times you were like, damn, dude, it's not like he's like Mr. Thick, So Jalen's got to find that Taylor magic that you don't need to bulk up. You can get stronger and keep your flexibility, because I think that's what Jason always wanted to maintain. Taylor always wanted to maintain that amazing athleticism that he had, that he can do whatever the hell he wanted on the damn field. But at the same time, as time went on, he got stronger and stronger with that body. So it's kind of that fine line, I think, that Phillips has to walk.
And you just have to not be a liability in the run game. That's the big thing. I mean, look, let's just be real. Edge rushers get past to sack the quarterback. If he can sack the quarterback, you start to forget about the other stuff. And so he just needs to not be a liability to earn the coach's trust early in the game. And I don't even know if it's a lot of.
If you can't stop the run and they know you can't stop the run,
you're a liability.
It's over. It's a long ass day, because they know they'll just keep running at your ass and negate your pass rush every time.
And a big part of the Patriot system defensively is to limit their weaknesses. And so you see them have specific players for specific roles because of that. If they know that you're just a rundown player, they're going to bring in a guy just for pass downs. They do that at inside backer all the time. So they're going to do that for Jaelan Phillips too. So he's got slimmer, but also I think he's got to learn a little bit more of the gap control in the game, the techniques. What's his responsibility? A lot of that stuff, just being frank, you don't learn in college. A lot of times in college, they tell you to run up field.
Oh no,
we got a big dude in the middle, and don't worry about that. And so he was honest with us last season and saying, hey, honestly, I didn't know a lot of this stuff. I didn't know what cover two defense was.
There's less road grading. Dude, there's less road grading in college football than ever now, because you're pass blocking most of the time. And remember, the rules are a little different, where you can fire off and head downfield already in college football, where you can in the NFL. You can't do that unless obviously it's a running play. You know what I mean?
Yep. So that's all stuff like we're not going to be able to see a lot of that in OTAs. We're not going to do a lot of run stopping, but that's Jaelan Phillips' big step. Like there's no doubt with his skill set, his athleticism, he's going to be able to rush the passer. He's probably the best pure pass rusher on this team, to be honest. No disrespect to Emmanuel Ogbah, who's a really good player, but Ogbah's a more complete player at this point, and Jaelan Phillips is more pure pass rusher. So Jaelan Phillips has to become more complete. And from what he's saying this offseason, he knows it. And that's the first step. Knowing what you have to do, putting the work in, and we'll see this season if it comes to fruition.
When the first couple times that he discards a defensive alignment and he tackles the runner and they lose a yard or two or whatever, that's when those offensive coordinators go, no, we're not going to be able to pull that shit anymore on this guy.
Right.
And that's and he's got to send that message, right away. So it's good for him to be working on something. And you know what? With a guy like Ogbah next to him, that's going to help him out in learning how to do that, because Ogbah does a really good job of being a complete, end, where he does also a good job against the run.
Right. And even bringing in a guy like Melvin Ingram, will help too of that.
Sure.
And Melvin Ingram's a little bit more of his style of rusher. Right.
True.
So like Emmanuel Ogbah is naturally a bigger pass rusher. Emmanuel Ogbah's like 275 pounds. So he's going to be able to stop the run because he's bigger. Whereas Jaelan Phillips is closer to 250, 255. So you've got a guy, Melvin Ingram, who's going to tell you, hey, you can stop the run with speed sometimes instead of power. You can say, hey, I can beat you to the gap and I'll force you to go a different direction. That's stopping the run. It doesn't always
Sure.
have to be bullying a guy inside. So there's different styles and different techniques and different gaps of where you can pursue it. So I'm eager to see that element in his game evolve because I think that helps their defense take that next step.
Cam, are you working the phones on this JC Tretter thing? What the hell's going on? Is there any interest? You know,
I
nobody.
don't think JC Tretter is going to be a Dolphin. I'm sorry, fans. I
Really?
know
Okay.
that's
What do you
I
know?
think that's the name. I think that's the name that everybody keeps bringing up, right?
Yeah,
And so
that's why I bring it up.
right. So I don't think that he's going to be a Dolphin. There hasn't been a lot of talks, from what I understand at this point. There honestly hasn't been a lot of talks from JC Tretter as a whole. So I won't say never because maybe it gets to the point where he's not getting any offers he wants, and he wants the clearest path to a starting job, and that could be in Miami. But I have not heard any significant conversations with Miami.
So then, who's
early in
got
free
the
agency.
inside track?
There hasn't been a lot of JC Tretter talk, man. He may be a guy who waits closer to training camp. Sometimes guys wait closer to training camp in July and see if there's an injury. If he has a number value in his mind that he's not getting, then he may stay steady and say, hey, I'm going to wait till training camp and see if somebody gets hurt, see if it changes on team's perspective. But as of now, I have not heard much movement from the Dolphins or any other team in regards to JC Tretter. So, what are we in, middle of May? I mean, if he doesn't, at this point, I think there's a decent chance he just waits the summer out. Not to say that you can't ask, maybe you can ask me again next week, but I just don't think there has been or there's going to be any an imminent movement on a JC Tretter signing.
The thing I ask myself is, because what you just mentioned is, okay, does he want to avoid an off season? Does he really want to play for a contender? Or does he just want to play for money? Because if you're telling me he's just going to wait for an injury, then he doesn't care where he plays. He's just trying to find a desperate situation to extract as much money as possible. Now, after being in Cleveland all those years, you would figure you'd actually learn your lesson and say, yeah, I kind of want to end my career somewhere where they're actually like a good organization and they give me a chance. And he's made his money unless he's
so let me be clear. Let me be clear. I don't know JC Tretter's intentions. I don't know what his desires are. I don't know what his money number is. I don't know exactly what his time frame is, right?
It seems like nobody knows anything about JC Tretter.
So the JC Tretter situation is everybody asking about the Dolphins. And trust me, the Dolphins aren't the only fan base. There are other fan base probably asking, hey, JC Tretter, are we going to sign JC Tretter, right? He's the big name that's still out there that makes sense for a lot of people, especially because offensive line is hard to fill. I'm just telling you, I have not heard, I have heard the Ingram buzz. I had heard some different buzz for different Dolphins players that they've signed. And maybe all of a sudden they come out of nowhere, or JC Tretter takes a salary that's lower than what he wants, and maybe he's a Dolphin. But right now, I have not heard any buzz. JC Tretter to the Dolphins from what, March, when free agency started, up until now. He's the guy I have not heard. I've mentioned a lot of different names. I've not mentioned JC Tretter because I've not heard it. And so maybe there's something going on and I just don't have any idea. It's not the first time I've been completely out of the loop, but I usually have a good ear to it. And I have not heard anything imminent on JC Tretter to the Dolphins or elsewhere. So maybe, like I said, I'm just guessing. Maybe he's waiting for a salary. Maybe he's waiting for this and that. But a lot of times in my experience, if a guy is still on the market by middle of May, a lot of times they wait until training camp because the offer is not there. So Melvin Ingram, remember, he worked out here a month ago and he didn't sign immediately. He probably was shopping out to try to see what his offers were. And ultimately he realized whether the Dolphins came up, I don't know, or whether he just took what their initial offer was. Eventually, as you're a vet, you got to say, hey, do I want this number or do I not?
Yeah, but that was a second go around. That's a second go around for Melvin because he was here last year too and they didn't sign him. Remember?
Right.
So
this
is
exactly.
Yeah, with this guy, it's like the thing is, I haven't seen anybody. It's not a you thing. Nobody has given us any insight on JC Tretter. Nobody knows what he wants, what has been offered, what team's interested, what team's not interested, what's he interested in. Nobody knows jack crap about
Yeah.
what J.C. Tretter is, where he's at right now. Nobody.
Hey, and sometimes for players, it's quiet like that. Like sometimes guys are really
Yeah.
internal with their stuff. You know, a lot of times we live in an industry where agents talk, where teams talk, but sometimes there's not a lot of talk. Maybe sometimes maybe it's the player slow playing it. We don't know what's going on in his life. Maybe he's slow playing, or maybe there's just like, I know it's weird to say, but sometimes there's just not a lot of interest.
By the way, who's his agent? Who's his agent?
I have to look it up. I have it written in a document, but I'm using my phone to chat with you right now, so I don't want to
Okay.
lose you on video. But I'll look it up. I have it written down. But yeah, he's a guy. Let's be frank. He's 32 years old. So although we know him and he's been a starter for a while, there could be some teams that don't view him as that level of player anymore. So I think all of these things are options. And right now, we're fans in the middle of May. We're looking for football moves. How can we get our team better? So we're all bringing names. We got to remember that teams don't do things like we do on Madden and create rosters. And sometimes there's more factors, whether it be age, whether it be level of play, whether it be injury status, whether it be money desired, all these things that come into play that make a player maybe less desirable or not as great of a fit than other times. So, you know, J.C. Tretter, you know, he's still an option out there, but right now I have not heard anything imminent with him in regards to the Dolphins.
Jared Fox, by the way, is his agent. I know Jared.
Yeah. Sports Star NYC. That's his.
Yeah. I know Jared really well. I've known Jared for, since he's young, actually. Although he's getting some gray hair.
Hit up Jared and ask him where JC's going.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do that right now. I got his text right now. I'm going to actually give him a text right now.
Hey man,
and tell him,
we're talking about your guy. Where is he going?
Man. What the hell's going on, man? You know, like that's it's crazy.
But ultimately, man, like I think that center is a position that needs to be competition wise or potentially upgraded too. But I think what this kind of tells us, at least at this point, is that maybe they're higher on.
Oop, I lost you there. Oh, he is stuck. He's stuck. All right. See if we get him back to wrap it up. But that is, of course, Cameron Wolfe, NFL Network, and, of course, our KSDT CPA Miami Dolphins report. And, by the way, they do it all over there, okay? They can assess a business you're trying to buy. You want to do a living will, you can do that. They do all kinds of things, so it's not just your taxes personally, business-wise. Please reach out to the great people at KSDT CPAs. They will definitely take care of you. And of course, tell them that the Big O Radio Show sent you. I guess he's done. I guess he's not popping back. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. That is our KSDT CPA Miami Dolphins report.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.